Hello, and welcome to a new video. My name is Priti, and today I'm going to be talking about women killing it, but also killing people. So basically what happened was that I was just in the mood to stab a man, but I couldn't do it in real life. So I decided to read books about women doing that to fictional people. And so I ended up reading 9 books about it. Technically there are 5 books, but one was like a series of 5 novellas, so I'm just gonna count it as 9 and make it sound impressive, but like technically 5. And I am here to talk to you about them. I liked a few, I did not like a few, but you may like the book more than I. So I'm gonna tell you in this video what I thought of the book, what the book is about, what I thought of it, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and who might ultimately end up liking this book and who might want to read it. So let's get into it. Before we do, just a reminder, if you like my content, you can subscribe to me, because I am a woman killing it in real life and making fun content on the internet about books. So yeah, let's just get into it. Cool? Also, don't ask me about why I didn't vlog this, because I did, and then those videos are like unsalvageable. And we're not here to see a woman cry, we are here to talk about women killing. So let's just get to it. So the first book that I read was The Old Woman and the Knife, I think. I don't remember the author's name or the translator because this is translated from Japanese to English, but I will put it here for you to check out, and as well as the book cover here because I read it as an ebook. But anyway, I thought that this book was fine. Let me tell you what it's about. Basically, it's about this old woman, I think like in her 60s or maybe 70s, I think 60s, who is a hit woman. And she is quite old now, so she's feeling the aches and pains and all of that sort of stuff. And she talks about her life being a hit woman, but she also goes through like life, so we get to see vignettes of her being the hit woman right now as an old woman, as well as like what actually got her into this. But there's also something that happens that is like a bit dramatic, and I don't really want to say what happens, but she thinks that someone's like after her, and maybe there is and maybe there isn't. You will see once you read the book. I thought that this book was fine. There were some interesting fight scenes which I thought were really interesting, and I liked the way that we saw like her kill people and like what her thoughts were about like her journey and like how she got there. I thought that was pretty cool. The writing is very like bland and dry because I feel like that's how the character is as well. She doesn't quite have too many emotions per se, so you don't really get any of like these flowery like thoughts and musings or anything like that, but it was still interesting enough. And I also liked the audiobook which I listened to on Scribd, so that was interesting. What I didn't like about it was that yes, it did get a little too dry, and also I felt like the last drama bit was just, I was just like, I wasn't invested as much in those characters and I just genuinely didn't care. So maybe what the pitfall of this book was that you still didn't end up caring too much about the old woman, and also like you had to suspend your disbelief with the certain things that were happening. So yeah, it was an alright book. I gave it a 3-star, I think. I don't know, something between a 3 to 3.5 stars. That's where I would put it. Wasn't the best, but it was a short one, so excellent for that. And you do get to see her kill people, so that's nice. The second book that I read was My Sister, the Serial Killer, and I really enjoyed this book. So this book is set in Nigeria, and we're basically following 2 sisters, one who is a nurse and the other one who is like this pretty beautiful fashion designer, influencer sort of thing, and she has a habit of killing her boyfriends. So far she's killed 3 of her boyfriends, and then she always calls her nurse sister, who's like the elder one, to come help her get rid of the body and like let her get away with it and all of that sort of stuff. And her sister is going about it because like, hey, it's family and all of that sort of stuff, But now her sister has her eyes set on this doctor who she's always kind of been in love with, and she's like, oh no, if they get together, will my sister kill him? And she wants to like basically make sure that that doesn't happen. So basically, yeah, we follow this journey. And what I do have to say about this book is that it's not about the killing. So if you're there to like see people stab people, kill people, all of that, that's not on like really on page, and that's not really what this book is about. It's not a thriller. It's more of a character study. It's more about understanding these two sisters, and seeing how they behave with each other more from the elder sister perspective, and how she kind of like deals with the world and like all the things that she's sort of grappling with, and how they've gotten into the situation with their parents, and like how they're dealing with society and all of that sort of stuff, with the background of like this killing happening. And yeah, I just thought that this book was really interesting because, well, I like books that have like this character study aspect of it. It definitely is not a book for like stabby, but well, I still really enjoyed it. I think people who would like this are people who don't mind that like the plot is a little like unwieldy and just kind of does its own thing, but are more about characters, and what they are thinking. This is not a light book because there's a lot that does happen in this in terms of like, you know, killing, and like there are some trigger warnings, so just check that out before you get into it. But yeah, I just thought that it was a interesting portrait of a family and a baggage that you carry and what that might sort of become, as well as like, I don't know, just relationships and people. So yeah, that was a book that really wasn't about killing people, but I still thought that she killed it, the author. Okay, so the next book or books that I read were the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. So as you can see, it's Stabby. So basically this is a pseudonym for another author who was unfortunately passed. So sorry to that author, rest in peace. I hope you are well wherever you are. What am I saying?
Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Anyway, moving on. Basically, this is for fans of Criminal Minds because this was supposed to be fan fiction of basically Spencer Reid and a serial killer or like a psychopath or whatever who is out killing people, and like she has her own like reasons why she's doing it. So we're basically following it from the serial killer's perspective, where she's going about like trying to kill these people to get revenge for a certain thing, which we find out soon what it is. But she's also met this guy who's like part of the BAU or the behavioral analysis unit, who is like this really smart but sexy guy, and he's meant to sound like Spencer Reid, but being a like Criminal Minds fangirl, he is not. Okay, Jesus Christ, he is not. Spencer Reid would never. Just no. I was so angry reading this book, thinking that like this person is Spencer Reid. But if you read this book not thinking he's Spencer Reid, you will be fine because you'll just be like, oh, this is just whatever. But I think I got doubly angry because I was like, this is not Spencer Reid. What sort of fan fiction is this? Anyway, let's move on. My point is that this book was interesting because it had 5 books in it, each of them being like about 130-ish pages. And the good part is that I flew through all of them. Like I read them and just inhaled them. And the first 2 books were terrible. Like atrocious, terrible writing. Just the worst I have ever seen. The conversations that these people were having with each other, just the worst. The characters in themselves were interesting, but the romance of these 2 people, like once you put them together, I hated it. I was just like, I like you individually. In fact, I don't think that the Spencer Reid character, whose name was Logan, I think, was even needed, because like he was a like damp soggy biscuit. Like I didn't care about him at all. But the woman was interesting. She was like sort of a badass, but whenever she was around him, she became a soggy biscuit too. So no, I didn't want that. But yeah, just like I liked this book primarily because there was a lot of like killing, and there was a lot of what I wanted to see, which was like a woman seeking revenge and like killing dudes and killing men, and like you got to see a lot of that, and you got to see a lot of like that on page, and her doing it in like different ways and then getting away with it. So I was like, yeah. And I liked how it built up to a certain thing, but you do have to keep in mind that this book sucked in terms of its writing. Just atrocious, terrible. I liked some of the characters, as I have said. There's another character called Hadley or something like that who comes up later, sort of like the Garcia of this situation. She was really cool, and I really liked the relationship that the main babe had with like her best friend, who's a dude. I forgot what their names are, but yeah. Overall, it started getting way better in terms of its writing from like the third and fourth, and then the fifth book. The fifth book, a lot of people I have seen love the ending. I thought it was stupid. So there we go. But still, I would suggest this to people who would like to read just like quick time pass sort of like books. If you like books that where you want to see like people and men and women even sometimes, I think, getting like just killed, and like having the smart woman who's like can defend herself and take care of herself, and like coming up with these big schemes to like seek revenge on like people who have wronged her. So yeah, that's what I got from it. But as I said, writing was not great. First two books, you just have to like zoom through it so that you can get to the other bits. But overall, I gave this one like the whole series somewhere between a 2.5 to 3 stars. So not very high ratings, but it was all right. And plus, it's available on Kindle Unlimited. So you know, it's all good. Alright, now moving on to the fourth book. The fourth book is Blood Rush by Sascha Rothchild or something like that. I don't remember. You will see the book here. Anyway, point is, this book I saw on Katie Colson's YouTube page, where she was basically hauling these books, and she pitched this book as like a book about a diabetic serial killer. Which wasn't the case, first of all, but it did have a diabetic character in it, and I was interested as well as Katie was interested because she is diabetic, whereas I have just a lot of people in my family who are, like my father was, and then my grandfather, and just like I know people. So I was like, hey, I want to see the diabetes aspect of it, but also I just thought that it was interesting. So I was like, you know what? Download it. So I got it as a ebook, and I started reading it, and I did not like it. Just basically what I didn't like from the very beginning was this character, the main character. I didn't care for her because she was like, I am so smart. Ever since I was a child, I was the smartest child on earth, and I would ask all these very deep questions about what is what, and like, you know, like quote the dictionary and all these like insightful quotes. And there's something which I hate about like books is like having this super smart young child who doesn't talk like a child. Like that just pisses me off. So anyway, we are following this girl who, when she was very young, killed someone. She was like, oh, okay, this doesn't affect me as much. But then we get to see the other three people that she has killed. But right now, we are seeing this all happen in her brain because people think that she has killed her husband, who was a diabetic. So she's like, wait, I didn't kill my husband, but I did kill these three other people. And we're seeing like the detective ask all these questions and blah 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 blah, which makes us understand what actually happened. But it's all in her head. Obviously, she's not like telling the detective, hey, this is what I did and all of that sort of stuff. But anyway, yeah, so we basically get to see what her life was, how she grew up in Miami, and like all these things happened to her, and like how she went to college, and then she found this man, and how she ended up killing three people on the way, and all of that sort of stuff. and I didn't really care for it because I didn't like the main character. Also, the writing somewhere, like, while it was nice in some places just really made me cringe, and I was just like, maybe not for me. I don't know. I just didn't like really care for it. This author is a debut author, so I can kind of see why it may not be the best, but she's a screenwriter, so I think that she may be able to do a good job into making this a movie. Because I could see that, but like as a book for me to read with my eyeballs, I didn't quite appreciate it. So it was like a two star for me. Even though the writing wasn't terrible, but like I was just like, I don't care. I just understood everything that was happening in the end, and it was just, whatever. Please forgive the random banging happening in the background if you can hear it. But now we move on to the fifth book, which is How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. This book was just like a internet sensation because, again, I feel like people like to read this book because people like to hold it in their hands and go like, haha, is this a manual for how to kill people? I don't know. But anyway, this book is basically following this one girl who is in jail for a murder that she did not commit, but she is talking about all the murders that she did commit, and we get to follow her journey on that, and she gets to tell us what exactly she did and why she was doing it. And this book was fine, and I'm gonna go a little fast now because my battery is blinking at me. But essentially, we get to see why exactly she committed these murders, how exactly she committed them, and what like was the process of doing that. And I liked it. Essentially, she wanted to take revenge on certain people who were like snooty and she thought were very uppity, and she deserved to have more. But the way that she told the story and the way that she was talking about things, I was just like, girl, you're not that different. You're quite like assholic too, you know, like the way you're talking about people. So maybe the author was trying to do this on purpose, or maybe, I don't know, she just didn't get the irony of the situation. But like, yeah, I was just like, I didn't quite like the main character. So I could root for her just a teensy bit, but not fully, because I thought she was a bit of an asshole. So yeah, overall this book was fun to read. There was a lot of murder on page, but not in like a gory, brutal sort of way, which like gets you upset and like your stomach goes like, bleh. No, it wasn't like that, but it was fun to read. I did not like the ending at all. That really pissed me off. I was just like, why? That doesn't make sense in my head. You know what I mean? So I didn't like that ending, but overall I thought the book was fine. I listened to the audiobook as well on script, which was fun and it was a good time. So yeah, if you want to check this out, this is an okay-ish book. I give this like a 3.5 stars. And yeah, that's all the books that I have to recommend to you right now or talk to you about. I hope that you got from this what you wanted to. I don't know what I'm saying anymore because I'm nervous because my battery is blinking and it's gonna die just like all those people who died in those books. So I'm gonna go now, but if you like this, give it a big thumbs up. Recommend other books where you know women have killed people, because that's what we like, to see women killing it as well as killing people. No, just in fictional worlds, not in